Hi, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. I'm Bobby P.
I'm Rocky Holland.
And I am pleased to introduce very good friend, former Republican town councilman, barrister of justice himself, Mr. Attorney Chris Williams. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for
joining
having
us
me.
again for the, I'm going to say 12 or 13th time.
I was saying Chris has probably been on here more than I have at this point.
Not quite. But thanks for having me.
It's
Appreciate
always a
it.
pleasure.
Thank
and,
you.
It is March. It is, well, not March, but it will be March when you're watching the show. And it's St. Patty's Day. It's March Madness. And Rock and I thought, well, let's try to pick out some wines that might go with your brisket, your corned beef, and so forth. Because we've never done that before.
Yeah. It's brisket corned beef is a very difficult thing to pair wine with because there's a lot of really heavy spices that go into that corned beef seasoning. So I originally had the idea of bringing some corned beef here and tasting it in between the wines, but I thought that might get a little messy. So we're just going to have to do it in our brains. Imagine we're eating corned beef and say, would this be
And it's also very salty, right? So that's going to have something
Actually,
to do.
salt is one of wine's best friends because it makes wines that are high in like tannins taste a little tamer. If they're high in alcohol, it makes it a little tamer. If they're high in acid, salt's just kind of like the international tamer for all the things that can make wine a little bit harsh. Very very wine-friendly substance, salt is.
Well, ironically, speaking of tame, as people are watching the show, you realize this is the winter that hasn't been. I have the Bobby P. Heat Miser hair going on tonight because I am the Heat Miser. And hopefully winter is done and summer and spring, or spring and summer, are right around the corner. So my choices tonight, I brought a Chilean rosé. I don't think we've done too many Chilean rosés. And I brought a Mendocino Valley Young Red, which I think is one, but they're both 100% Grenache and 100% Syrah.
Oh, okay. I love Mendocino County. It's one of the kind of forgotten places in California. I don't think it gets as much credit as it deserves because there's some really good. If you're going up California, you get to Napa and Sonoma. It's just north of Sonoma, so very little separation between the famous Sonoma stuff and the just north of it, the Mendocino County, and but it's one of my favorite appellations. So I'm curious to try it.
Why don't you think it gets as much credit? Is there a reason, or?
Probably because there's not as much quantity that comes out of there, and I think that the Napa and Sonoma name, they've got some really good wines that are coming out of there, and it's just been around for a long time. They're working on momentum, and I'm sure Mendocino County's probably got some stuff that's terrible. And I guess we'll find out.
I just realized, people, some of our younger people, by younger I mean still legal age, might not have any idea what I meant by the Heat Miser haircut. So those of you that have watched the Christmas specials throughout your life, you know what I'm talking about, Heat Miser. All right, let's go with our first little gem here. We're going to go with the Trappista Syrah Rosé.
That sounds
Start
good to
pouring
me.
down here. There's a pour for
Thank you.
Chris.
Rosé of Syrah. So, actually, one of the times that we had you on, Chris, we did a blind tasting of Cabernets, and one of them was Chilean. And as soon as I tasted it, I said it's got that bell pepper note that Chilean wines tend to have. I'll be surprised if they would do that to a rosé, though. I'm thinking it's probably not going to, but doesn't smell bell peppery.
It's not dark, a little
No,
light.
it's very light.
Ooh, that's cherry. Little pepper, little cherry and pepper.
It's very crisp.
To it, huh?
Can I ask you guys a question then?
High acid.
Forgive me if, does this look a little orange to you?
It's
No?
hard to say.
Yeah.
Maybe
You
so.
could call that
Like
an
it
orange
looks
or
a little less,
a light salmon.
It
yeah,
definitely,
a little less rosé than
doesn't
normally,
have
yeah.
that kind of pinkish that you're used
Yeah.
to. It's definitely not an orange wine, thankfully, because I hate orange wine for the most part. But yeah, it does have a little bit of an orange hue to it, and I don't know.
Does that mean anything? The color?
I would have to know how they create. There's different ways that you can create rosé wine.
How long the skin's
One is
been-
it's just like the after they make the red, it's just like the leftover stuff. One is that they actually leave the skins on for a certain amount of time because they're intending on making rosé wine with that batch. Sometimes you can even blend white and red wines together to make a rosé. So I have no idea how this one came to be. And honestly, it's probably just due to the terrain up there, the terroir, as they say, and the grape itself, Syrah. You don't really.
It's really good.
Yeah. So a lot of your rosés that you see, like when you go to a restaurant, come from Provence, and it's typically Grenache and Syrah based.
Yeah.
So Syrah in a rosé, that's a perfect combination there. Nothing unusual there.
And Chris, do you drink a lot of rosés? I know we drink a lot together over the years, but you don't really drink a lot of rosé.
Not a ton.
You're more of a red guy, right? Or
I am.
An occasional, what's the white that you prefer?
I'm not a huge white
More
guy.
of a red guy.
Yes.
But I think there's a good balance because you like your corned beef too? And
Yes.
I think this would go very well. I mean,
I-
when I read the tasting notes on this, it did say both my wines would pair well with a red meat or a lamb, anything
Yeah.
along the meat category.
It's funny, when you talk about, and I can say this because I'm Irish, but the Irish are not known for their cuisine. But it's improved.
No, we are not.
It's improved over the years.
Yeah.
If the people say Dublin is like a great place for restaurants now, I don't know if it's true, but to your point, yeah, with a lot of the Irish cuisine, you could see even I could see having this with shepherd's pie.
Oh, yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean?
I did have a pot pie, beef pot pie.
Yeah.
Actually, corned beef is not originally Irish. That's an American Irish thing.
Is that
corned
true?
beef. I believe so.
Okay.
We'll hear about it if I'm wrong. But, well, my wife is 100% Irish. and
Yes.
I'm pretty sure corned beef is something that was started here in the United States.
So the corned beef and cabbage tradition is American?
I think so.
Really?
I think so, but I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
News to me.
But, this is available locally in the Hartford area. You can find this between $8.99 and $12.99.
Okay.
Very reasonable
Good
price
deal, yeah.
point. And once again, I tend to like French rosés more, but this is perfect. I like the cherry and the little bit of pepperness that's in there, so I think that goes really well.
I don't know that this would go well with corned beef. It would go okay with a regular brisket. The
Oh.
corned beef spices, though, I think the kind of cherry, strawberry, high acid might not work with the heavy spices that come in, the cinnamon, the cardamom, all that kind of thing. I would love to know, but my gut tells me that this might not be a good pairing if you're having people over for St. Patrick's Day.
If you want to drink it before the actual meal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That might work.
Wine never goes to waste in our house.
No,
because
that's
if it
true,
didn't
it
work
does
with the
not.
meal, it's going to work afterwards.
So even though I bought it, I'm a little biased, but I really like that. And I tend to be really snobbish when it comes to my rosés, but that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's, on the spectrum of rosés, it's high on it for me.
It's not too sweet. It's the flavor drops off really quickly, and really nice, very refreshing. A thumbs up on my end.
Thumbs up for me, too.
We start off with thumbs up. Very
That's
nice.
great.
And I think Rocky, your little pourer is up next.
It's a cool bottle.
So this is sold pretty much everywhere. It's Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, so obviously Italian. There's two. You hear Montepulciano, there's something called Vino Nobile di Montepulciano that's actually not the grape. This is the Montepulciano grape. And so the other one is Sangiovese. They have, interestingly enough, they're two different grapes. They have a very similar profile. Quite frankly, a lot of Italian wines have a pretty similar profile, that kind of just balsamic and tomatoey, tomato stem kind of flavor that goes along with it. Everybody's got their own way of describing wines, but for me, when I think of Italian wines, I just kind of think of a tomato vine. So,
And I think we have had this before some time ago, I believe. haven't
did we have it on the show?
Not on the show, but I think we've had it either at your house or at a party or something. It seems familiar.
I don't
The bottle
remember
looks
that.
familiar.
I discovered this because one of my clients, he doesn't drink alcohol, and one of his clients gave it to him, and he said, "Here, I did him a favor. I came in on a Saturday, and he said, 'You drink wine?' I was like, 'I drink wine.' I dabble." So, and he gave it to me, and I was like, "Wow, this is really delicious." When I see like all this stuff on the wine bottle, I'm like, "Okay, they're trying to make up for a crappy wine by dressing it up like this." And I tasted it, and I said, "This is actually pretty good."
It is good.
And you don't actually have to have Rocky's expertise to know. If you're just a novice wine drinker, you would say this is an Italian wine.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a sip. It's and I get the tomato thing you're talking about. There's a
Yeah,
certain,
tomato, cherry. That's why I think Italian wines really pair well with red pasta, because there's some kind of balsamic flavor to it that works.
It's really good. Can I ask you a question? When I go to the store and I see the wines labeled, cabs, Australia, I feel like those are easy to navigate. When I see Italian, it intimidates me because I don't know what I'm doing. Do you have like tips if you're a novice, like to get a good bottle of Italian wine?
best tip that I could give you is go to a place that's got someone that can help you out. There are some bad spots for that, and there are some good spots for that. I think, Wise Old Dog, Maximum Beverage, who else?
Liquor
Probably,
Depot, West Side. West Side's pretty good. I've been there
Gillette
before.
just moved in down in, what's that, Bishop's Corner? That's a good spot. They know their stuff there. Where else? Bottle Stop in Avon.
That Bottle Stop, yes.
G's
Oh,
been
and,
on our show before. He knows.
Our other friend
very
there,
helpful.
we filmed in Avon, in his place, before Bottle Stop.
Oh, yeah, he sold that place.
He did.
Charlie?
Charlie.
We filmed there twice, actually.
I didn't know he sold it.
And he told me, he said, I have always been in a restaurant my whole life, but when the pandemic hit, he said, restaurant's terrible right now. I opened up a liquor store. Liquor stores are doing crazy. They're just gangbusters. And he said when things started to settle down, I went back to restaurant. So that's what he did.
Oh, that's good for him. I did not know that.
So, yep.
And don't forget our friend over at London Wines, also on Farmington.
London Wines, yep. Our first show to ever reach 1,000 views. By the way, we have another 1,000-view show. Union Kitchen just made it to 1,000
Thank you,
views.
people.
So
There you go.
Thank you.
thanks, Vish, again, for having us over. And hopefully this will too. I don't know.
I don't know that I'm the draw of the
Well,
union.
Oh, you are.
I think that we were talking about, I think the location ones, people tend to click on it because they're like, oh, I've been there before, let's see what's going on here, as opposed to just hearing me and Bobby talk about wine for 30
And
minutes.
to answer your question, Chris, a lot of my experience with wine is just taking a chance and buying a bottle. Not spending too much, so if it's bad, I don't feel too
Right.
burnt. Just try something. And you try so much wine over the years, eventually you'll come to something that you
And if you don't have any help, there's a pretty good golden rule when it comes to Italian wines, Chianti Classico. It's
Oh, okay.
it's not very often I get a bad Chianti Classico, and you can usually get one in between the $14 to $22 price range that's going to do you right. That's the one that has the black rooster on the, you'll always see a black rooster right here. And so that's how you know it's Chianti Classico. It might be on the label, so.
goes delicious with the sharp marbled cheese too, by the way.
Rooster.
I don't know if you try it, taste that. But
There you go. This is great.
yeah, that's, what year is that? That is 2010?
I don't know. I doubt it.
19, 2019.
That would be a pretty, it would taste a little differently. Yeah.
That's a thumbs up on my end.
Yeah,
That's
I
fantastic.
agree.
I've had this one a lot.
I agree.
It's a very, very cherry profile.
I think Chris gave Rocky a large pour down
No,
there.
that's all
So
right.
I'm sorry. I'm a novice.
I took a chance and let you do the pouring, Chris.
Yeah.
And that's what
Don't-
happens.
Won't happen ever again.
Because Rocky always gets chastised because a lot of times his wife will say, "That's too big of a pour, Rocky. It's too big of a pour." And now we're doing it.
Now I've done it to him. I apologize.
My wife may or may not be in the audience today,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I got no doubt. Bobby
Yes, you do.
ever
Yeah,
does.
that one that's right next to the cooler.
Bobby, come on, I was wanting to get sauce
Oh,
tonight.
sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. This one right here?
Yeah.
There we go. We're gonna make a cuvee and then I'll drink that at the
Okay,
end.
apologies.
Pour it over my head.
All right, the next one is a Bonterra and is from Mendocino Valley, California, and is organic grape produced and is a 100% Grenache.
Grenache.
And Grenache. What's the correct pronunciation for that, Rock? Is it
Grenache.
It is Grenache?
If you are in Spain, it's Grenache.
Oh.
But yes, Grenache is typically a blending grape in the Provence region of France. The Grenache is going to add not a lot of tannin. It's going to add, when they blend, each one does something differently, and the Grenache tends to be high alcohol. It's got some good acid, and it tends to be very low tannin. But a lot of times they sell it by itself. If it stands alone by itself, then go for it. Let's see what we got for alcohol content.
It's interesting because this one, it says it tastes better served slightly chilled, and I did try to chill it a little bit before coming here. But it
Okay.
specifically said it is better slightly chilled.
That's because that tones down the alcohol content. But this one's only 13.4, so I'll be curious to see how we do with this.
Ooh.
That's got kind of almost a, I don't want to say sweet, but it's not sugar sweet. It's almost like a floral,
Yes.
maybe almost like a sweet tart or a Jolly Rancher kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
Was it?
Was it raspberry?
Got some raspberry, yeah. Raspberry cherry. Grenache tends to be on the red fruit end of the spectrum.
Maybe licorice, or is that off?
No, that's perfect.
I don't think it's cloying though. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna change that from raspberry back to cherry, similar to
Cherry.
what rosé was. Once again, a little peppery there.
Yep.
But it's not a heavy red at all.
No.
And is that what it means when it says it's a young wine, Rocky? What does it mean with young wine when it says that wine is young?
Wine is young, and it's referring to the vintage. So if it was a 21 vintage, it would be considered young versus a 10 vintage would be old. And they use terms like Venice, but you don't, I mean, it's.
Was that
just
2019? Can you see that from here on the back?
young. You see that?
18? Yeah, that's an 18.
2018.
Yeah.
So the price on this one's a little bit
Five years old.
steeper. I think this was between $19 and $21.
Okay,
for
I could
this
see
one.
that, yeah. It's got,
But there's a little bit, there's character in this. It's a nice little, I can see why chilled it's a little bit, I don't want to say better because that's so subjective, but I can see why some people might like it on the chilled side.
yeah, it's definitely not a bold, in-your-face alcohol bomb like a lot of the Grenache, straight Grenaches tend to be. And that might have something to do with the fact that it's from Mendocino County, which is a little further north. It's going to get a little bit of a milder profile, a little higher acid. I like it.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Does the chill matter when you're pairing it with food?
Typically, you don't want your reds to be that chilled if you're going to pair them with food, because the more chilled it is, the more it's going to tame all of the flavors in it. So once it's amazing, you know, when you taste something that's chilled and then you let it sit out for 20 or 30 minutes, it can take on a completely different profile. So if you're eating some mild food and you chill it, that's probably a good thing. If you're eating something that's, you know, is a good pairing, you probably don't want to chill it because you want that wine to shine through and to go with the food it's paired with. So if I was a little concerned that, hey, maybe this isn't going to work with the food that we've got, chill it a little bit and that'll tone down
That's
whatever's
interesting.
not working with the food, you know.
That's really interesting, especially with Irish food. You know, because
Irish
some
food-
of it's mild.
Irish food's tough. You know,
Yeah.
they say if it grows together, it goes together with,
Right.
with food and wine. They don't grow any wine in Ireland, so there's really, you think of Irish food, it's pretty much just get some Irish whiskey and a nice stout.
That's why they don't drink a lot of wine.
Oh, we
in
got to get
Ireland.
a nice stout. I don't like the wine with me. How should I do?
That's great.
Okay, I did not
did
know you
all
could
the
do the
Irish.
Irish impersonation. That was pretty good.
According to whatever the 23andMe, I think I'm 60% Irish, so I'm enough Irish.
I'm enough Irish to where I can speak like the Irish speaking.
I am so jealous. I'm married to an Irish girl, and she cannot do the slightest hint of an Irish accent.
Well, the problem is sometimes people do the Scottish accent.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
it's-
good at.
it's
I'm doing the
very
Scottish
different.
accent, yes.
It is very
Plus,
different.
it's you don't want to confuse Scotch and Irish. The people
No.
up there don't like it when
Yeah, they're very territorial.
If you're Irish and they bring up a kilt or something like that, it's like no.
What part of the Irish are you there, Chris?
County Mayo.
County Mayo.
And it's funny, I've been to Scotland, and I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. I swear to
Yeah,
God.
you go up
It's
in
like-
the islet areas and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, I didn't know, but in
You need
but
it.
in Ireland, you know, it's like it really feels so familiar, you know, in terms of like
Never been.
a
I'd
lot
love to
of
go.
the people looked like my relatives and what have you. So it's
Yeah.
sort of, but it was beautiful, but no vineyards.
No,
No vineyards
I
at
can't
all.
imagine you're going to find a lot of vineyards
Yeah.
up in Ireland.
I don't think
No.
so.
Probably not a big demand for it.
They make up for it other ways, though. They have other
Good beer and whiskey.
Yes.
liqueurs of choice. So I'm going to give myself another thumbs up. I think it's
I do.
pretty
I
good.
think we've had 3 winners so far.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, Chris, you got a little spot there. Look.
Well,
In all the years we've been doing the show, we've never done a show sort of geared towards Irish food or St. Paddy's Day. So, we've been doing so many shows over the years. I'm glad we mixed something up and made something a little different this time. 'Cause I didn't know what else to do for March. Could do March Madness, but most people watching March Madness are drinking beer and doing shots. So
Yeah.
this is a little toner.
If I had to go to make a real pairing for traditional Irish food, which is that heavy in kind of the ground beef, but it's got some potatoes in it and all that kind of thing, you know, just a Pinot Noir is pretty much going to match most of that. If I was doing corned beef, though, I would probably go with maybe a very light but floral white wine, like a Viognier or probably a Riesling would pair well with that. But I didn't want to go that way for this show because cold time of year, we're just not ready for white wines yet. So
Yeah.
I think these are good for a good, nice little March, leading us into springtime lineup.
And once again, like I said, I think the price point is between 18 and 21, and you can find this in the greater Hartford area. Maybe not as easily, so do a search first or give a call before you try it, but definitely one that you might want to put on your list. I think it's really good. Good value. So what do we got next, Rock?
Moving on along, this is the Pigeoner from an area that is down in, if you go to Provence, which is in the south of France, over towards Italy, There's an area that is just to the west of it called Constères de Nîmes, or just Nîmes. And they do a lot of the same fruits. This one I like a lot because it is a real bargain. They sell this at Wise Old Dog for between $12 to $14.
Oh.
And it is, you want to
Sure.
slide that down?
Why don't you pour?
This is,
I love the bottle.
Yeah,
It's
It's got a cool bottle, but it's bold. It's got a nice finish. It is one of the best at that price range for kind of. So we were saying we had some Syrah, we had some Grenache. This has Grenache
Oh,
and
dark
Syrah. It also has something called Marcelon and Carignan. So it's a 4-blend from that region that tends to do all this. We've got a lot of. Just a little splash there too. She's not looking.
See how dark that is, Chris?
Yeah, this is dark.
Yeah, so this is a bold one. This is why you want to do when we do the show, try to do the bolder ones last in the rotation.
Oh, okay.
So you don't shock your palate right
And
from
we
the
still have
front.
13% for alcohol?
This is 14.5%.
That's great.
Wow. Ooh, that's got a nice little aftertaste.
Yeah, that's really
You,
good.
you take a sip of it, you get one flavor, and then about 5 seconds later, you start to get different flavors. That's what I like in this wine. And you get that in a lot of more expensive wines. If you've ever had a Côte de Rhone, this is pretty similar to a Côte de Rhone, but I like it a little bit better. And at the price point, Côte de Rhones tend to run around $15, so this is a couple bucks less than that. And I think they sell this at Harvest Wine Bar and Wise Old Dog, that I know of around here.
So,
Probably some other spots.
so this is French, but it's near
Near-
Italy.
It's near Provence. Yeah, it's kind of near Italy. It's
Okay.
It's in the Rhone Valley. I don't have a map, but if you go to the tip of the Rhone Valley, you've got Italy's like right here. So if you've got France and you've got Italy down here, they're kind of like Piedmont's like this far from the southern Rhone. So they're maybe 100 miles apart, something like that.
Interesting. That's great.
I will say that this wine, and Crocky's always does a great job setting up how we should drink them. I'm really not that good at that. This is so complete. I'm still getting different flavors. It's
Yeah.
been sitting. I didn't even taken another sip yet. I just wanted to see what's going on.
Isn't it
there.
good? Yeah.
It's just more stuff is happening there.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of, if you remember Bill that came on our show that time?
Yes.
This is one of his label, the Drinkable Arts. And so I've been showing a lot of Bill's wines around, trying to help him out. I think they're really good, and I would encourage anybody that likes kind of boutique-y wines, that's not just something that you find on the shelf anywhere, to, if you're a wine store owner, reach out and I can get you in touch with them. And it's the Drinkable Arts Importers is the name of the group that does it. They got a great lineup of wines. So, and this one's, I mean, for the price point, is one of their.
That's
one of their-
2020. From here I can see.
That's a 20. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's great.
A lot of character in this wine for
Oh, yeah.
for a younger wine. Really nice.
Yeah, I could see this pairing pretty well with like kind of like a meat and potato type Irish dish, because this would go well with any kind of red meat. I mean, it's just got a good.
So what's your tradition for St. Patty's Day? Do you go out or do you make something at home?
We usually make a corned beef.
Do the corned beef?
Yeah, with some mashed potatoes. Nothing like crazy. But,
Yeah.
Chris?
So yeah, we normally did corned beef, but my kids hate it.
No.
They hate corned
Can you
beef.
replace that with a brisket?
that's
They
so
like a brisket?
self- for
So
kids, yeah.
yeah, so we've been trying different things. We've been going to shepherd's pie, ground beef, mashed potatoes, corn, mixed vegetables.
Your kids are okay with the veggies?
Yeah, they are okay with that. So that's been working out well. But it seems like the more we try to make our tradition, the less we get away from like the Irish traditions. So like with corned beef, we were doing corned beef and sauerkraut for a while, which is not really corned beef
That's
and
like
cabbage.
Irish German.
Exactly, but it makes it better. You know what I mean? So
Hey,
it's like
you
we
know,
kept
I
moving
mean-
away from it. So, but no boiled potatoes. So how about you?
Yeah, we've been doing the corned beef, though I've been trying to get Carrie to maybe go with the brisket this time, but I haven't actually had a corned beef in probably 8 or 9 months, so we'll probably do the corned beef.
You know what's crazy is that, like right after St. Patrick's Day, if you go to the grocery store, they have these incredible sales on
yeah.
the corned beef
The
briskets.
corned beef, that's the only
They're
time
like,
of year they
they're
can
like
sell it.
$2, so you
Yeah.
can get them
Freeze
and then
it.
freeze it
Yeah.
exactly. But anyways, If you like corned beef, you can stock up.
So, I gotta say, so it's gonna be tough for me to pick my choice for best in glass. I've liked everything on the table tonight. I don't think there's any dogs here at all.
Maybe we could have a four-way draw.
So, but I do have a slight winner, and Rocky, once again, it's usually Rocky. He picks out some great stuff. I'm going with Rocky's only because, for the price point, for the complexity, and the fact that it's still making beautiful love all over my palate still, even after only 2 sips. It's really done wonders for me. So,
Making
it's,
beautiful love all over my palate. I love that.
Yeah.
That is,
so that's my
It's like a
choice.
T-shirt.
yes, yes.
2 guys, a lot of wine.
Don't you?
Making beautiful love all over my palate.
We should have that as our tagline at the beginning of the show.
There's so many
We
places
will
to
make
go with
beautiful
that,
love
so
all over
I'm
your
not gonna
palate
touch
if you
that
watch
one.
this show.
So what do you think, Chris? As a guest, be honest.
Yeah, my favorite would be the neem. But I will say that
Rosé?
in terms of rosés, that really, if I was gonna have a rosé, that is one I would go with. I really like
It's
that
a really
one
cool
lot.
rosé. It's
Yeah.
so different from all
So-
rosés. Taste so similar.
Yeah, I really like that one, but my favorite of the bunch is the neem.
Rocky?
Neem slight edge over, and I would say a tie between the other three. We didn't have a dud in the bunch this time, and thankfully none of them were corked. None of them were over the hill. It's like, what do you like better, chocolate or vanilla ice
Yeah,
cream?
I will agree
How
with
do you
you, so.
compare a rosé to something that's a bold red like that? But if I had to compare that rosé to just your traditional Provence rosé, they all taste the same. They all have it, and I love them. They're great on a nice summer afternoon.
Yep.
The strawberry and the cherry
There's
and
a
the
little uniqueness
watermelon,
in that one, yep.
and you know, they all want them to taste the exact. So they're all trying to be Mirval. This is different because it's got a little bit denser, a little chewier. It's got kind of a cherry thing. I do think you were on the money with the raspberry. You kind of backed off of that, but it definitely had a raspberry flavor to it. It's candied, but it's not disgusting. It's not like
No, there's nothing
it's not like
overly-
I'm
yeah.
eating a lollipop, you know, to make love to my palate. But yeah, so that one.
All right, so we have a winner. We have a clear winner then tonight, and you know, it goes by so fast. You know, we're getting the wrap-up signal. So,
Oh, wow.
I will say that
crazy.
I want to thank everybody for watching the show. Over 12 years now, I think, Chris. It's been well over 500 bottles of wine, Rocky, we've
Congratulations.
tasted on the show. Some great episodes, some great guests, and of course, Rocky. Thank you so much for being part of it and joining the crew here.
Thanks for having
Joining-
me. I say
or
that
joining
every
me.
time.
And Sandy, you're out in the audience. Thank you too for your wonderful guest appearances. And Chris, keep it rolling, my man. Keep it rolling.
Thanks
You're
for
welcome
having me.
anytime. Anytime. I don't know what we're going to be doing for the next show. So that would be March, April. What are we doing in April? I have no idea. Maybe we'll film on location somewhere. We'll see if we can find something.
I have a couple of things in the works for a location filming, so we'll have to see if we can make it happen. It's a little bit trickier with the sound because if it's loud, so
yeah.
you have to kind of try to film on the least busy times of the weeks and days. So
Well, once again, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank Rocky. I want to thank Chris, Sandy in the audience, and all our viewers for making us so successful. And until next time, keep me
and me
and Chris.
and Chris
And
and
your
your
wine
wine
cellar.
cellar.